Welcome back. I know that by now you were thinking about caramels. You've returned to your memories to think about what you remember about your experiences about caramels or where your curiosities lie. You have returned to and thought about what these could turn into and where your thoughts might lead you, because really that is the heart of what you do as an author. That's how you guide what you're doing with your own products and performances. And the choices you make as an author are going to influence how you communicate the meaning that you wish to convey. So as we begin and go deeper into our exploration of the first element of cubing, that's going to begin to guide where your writing might go. And so, one of the first things we do is we describe it with our senses. And you think about how you could describe it to somebody who is not in the room, or perhaps one who has lacked some of the senses. So, I did a little bit of research right here about what the human senses are. And I want to explore this a little bit with you because these right here are additional elements that can guide and help you think about what you might do to describe it. The sense of touch, you can think about the pressure, the temperature, the variation, um, pain, compassion, and this right here, the texture. And what all of these do, when I was researching it, I figured out that these trigger abstract emotions and feelings. And so, one of the things that I did whenever I was looking at how I would describe what was here in the texture and the touch right here is it's hard to the touch but gives with the pressure in the same way a warm Tootsie Roll does. And so that would be something that I could use to describe the touch with that element right there. So I was able to use that. Now, another thing that we use is sight. Color, motion, transparency, or opaqueness, light or dark. And a lot of times, what this does is it triggers memories as well. And so, if I was looking at the color or the caramel itself, I could write about it being in clear cellophane, like a package, the color of coffee with lots of cream but still brown. I was trying to describe what the brown was and go a little bit deeper with that. And so I thought of a dark Palomino pony. And then I'm also looking more at size right here. So size is also something that we could add in here that is an element you can think about whenever you're working and thinking about how you'll respond to that. Um, we can also look at when we're trying to think of what we're doing is sounds, waves, vibrations. Timbre is the quality of sound, a tone or tune or pitch. And a lot of times this triggers your attention. It's something you notice. And then that leads to emotions. And so in here, I really haven't added any description in here that really talks about sound. So I'm going to go ahead and add that in this window right here. And the sound that I'm thinking about is a squish when I have bitten down and try to pull my teeth apart. And I can imagine stretching between my molars. And so I'm adding to um, that almost intercranial sound that I have with that. Um, in smell, we can look at also and explore what that is. That we and I did some research that we can learn about over 1 trillion scents, and it triggers appetite as well as memories. Like a lot of times you'll smell something and then you'll have a memory with that. So we can write about the smells that things have. We can also write about the taste, and these are the basic categories of taste and some of the elements that we can use to think about what those are. There are also weird elements of sense. Synesthesia, this is when somebody, if they see a color, they hear a sound, or if they hear a sound, they see a color. It kind of blends and mixes it up. And then there's the extrasensory perception, like, ghosts and telepathy and all of that. But we also have sense of space or proprioception, like when you have chill bumps or goosebumps. It's also where your awareness is of where you are and who you are. And so if I was writing about that sense of space, that element of whenever I was talking about, maybe where grandma was in her chair and rolling her around, or maybe how tall I was and what I could see in contrast to what the lady behind the counter was seeing or my mother was seeing, would be a good way to add detail to what I want to add to um, the element and the narrative that we are going to be looking at. Um, so all of these things are elements that you can use to help you begin to explore how you're going to describe it. And what I'd like for you to do now is I want you to look at how you can describe what's happening here a little bit. And it might require some research. And so what I did right here is I just started looking at really what are some of the things that we can use to describe, and how do other people describe it. And so I started to collect some ideas and research about what was happening. And so I found this recipe, and it has some different information about what that is. I also found that this caramel fragrantica, tica, it goes in here and it gives you some words and descriptions, which I love the words that are in here. A candy deep, sensual and rich, creamy, buttery, lactonic, that was like lactic acid that's in milk, that enriches gourmand, which means people who really love to consume food, perfumes, and adds sweetness to floral composition. So this is about what, how do you define what the smells are? And so I was able to use those quotes right here, and then I added the link to here so I could get back to it when I want to go and look to it again. I found also that they begin to describe the color to it, that it resembles a penny, which I thought that was a neat one that I hadn't thought about. Um, I found it has a silky texture, melts in its mouth, and it has, I love this, organoleptic properties, which I have to look that up, but I like that word because it's so multisyllabic, and it might be a good word to put into a poem if I want to write a poem using this. So what I would like for you to do now is, in your copy of the slide right here, I want you to go ahead and add your description inside of what it is and share the resources that you might use to figure out what you would use to describe either your experience that you're talking about or the caramel itself. I think also it's fun to look at my friend Elizabeth Bailey. Um, she has added some descriptions in here too. And as we read and consider the work of others in our class, we began to think about other things that we could add into our descriptions as well. So Elizabeth says here, the caramel is around the size of a piece of bubble gum. And I'm envisioning that and seeing kind of what it is. That would really help somebody who has never seen a caramel before. The wrapper in loud, I love that because it is loud. If you're trying to open it in church or it's going to make a lot of noise. Thin, clear plastic. I love that description. That really gives me some more fodder for things that I might be able to do. And I really like this description right here. The color of caramel reminds me of hardened honey. When it sits in the cabinet a little bit too long, it turns more of a dark color. And this helps me understand the texture of it as well. So here's your challenge. It's your turn to write. Think about, what do you know about that these thoughts could help you explore as you consider how you would describe the caramel itself or the memories that you have around it?